Hello and welcome back, and welcome to some more PSGL highlights, but this time it's a little bit different. This is the PC side for the F2 division. So this is not something I expected to be doing at the time, as a lot of you know. I just got a PC, and yeah, it turns out I happened to get invited along to race in the Split 2 division, as PC is very, very competitive and esports related. So the guys are very, very fast. You can see me trying to adjust to it in the qualifying session. Now, I wasn't very confident obviously going into this. I'd done a few sort of qualifying sessions to practice for, but nothing amazing, and I did not expect anything out of this. So it was more of a trial race, if anything. As you can see, I'm making quite a few mistakes here. I'm not exactly very high up, but yeah, the one thing I was concerned about is the fact that according to this, I've not done a single lap in the race on PC ever, so that was something to consider. But anyway, you can see now 1.5 minutes left of the qualifying session. We're down in P17, so this is going to be our final qualifying push lap. As I said, I wasn't really expecting anything amazing, but if we can get sort of a low-ish 3, maybe a 0.3 or maybe 0.2, that'll probably get us decent enough to probably start at just as the top 10 on an alternate strategy and see what we can do in the race. So yeah, coming around the first sector, then the first sector very, very difficult with the first corner, but thankfully we did gain quite a bit of time, and I think around this turn 4 section you can see drifting slightly. We actually lost a bit of time there, so that's definitely not ideal. But yeah, you can see going up on the brake bias because I felt that the rear end was moving a little bit too much under the braking, but nevertheless we are going to push on just about 1/10 and a half up now, so hopefully this should get us a solid improvement, maybe get down to a 0.4. But as I come to the end of this lap, I took the decision to go again, because I know you can definitely do that on this track. It'll be very limited on the ERS come the end of this next lap, but I think it's definitely worth doing. Now, turn 1, as I said, is very difficult to hook up. It was not too bad on that run. You can see we gained nearly a 10th, so that's very, very good, and we already looking good for nearly a 0.3. So we're going to need to nail something here. Can you see, even with that previous lap, we're only into P14, so we need to make up some time. Again, round turn 3, very difficult to get the rotation through there and to keep the rear end in check, but a 10th up nevertheless. Coming into turn 4, this is where we lost a little bit of time on the previous lap. You can see with the brake bias adjustment, not losing the rear as much, nearly 2/10 up now. So we're looking very, very good to do a very good time. I think in practice of the few sessions I never really did anything quicker than a 0.3 that was actually valid. So this is looking very good, and almost going to be sort of a PB related time. Not that it would be anything amazing anyway, but coming around this last section, 2/10 up, we can gain a little bit more on the last corner. We're going to come across the line, 2/10 up. What's it going to be? It's a 0.283 up into P7, and I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but I was quite surprised with the fact that I did do that time. And you can see overall that gets us into P8 on this fairly competitive grid. So that's all well and good. Into P8, you can see the sector times there. We just got it together when it mattered, and you can see now on the grid, this is where it gets interesting, as I've not done any racing laps at all, but we've got the 5 red lights go on now, and you can see they go out, and already the lights go out later for us, and you can just see the amount of positions we've lost, and that's sort of ruined our race already, if I'm going to be honest. We've just got to try and get through as well as we can. You can see nearly get caught behind Jeffrey Ritchie there, but already we're behind the alternate strategy runners, and this is really bad for our race, down to P14. And if we get stuck behind these alternate strategy runners, there's not a lot we're going to be able to do in this race, as they are going to be a lot quicker come the end of the race. So we get past John Evans, who's on the right hand side. He went for the hard tyres. Now, there is a reason he went for the hard tyres, and that is due to the fact that we are scheduled rain for the very end of the race. So that could make things interesting, as I assume John Evans is going to go to the wet weather period. But P13 it is for now. It's for us at the minute, and yeah, I think, well, we've got P7 to start with, P8 to start with, sorry. So we've lost out, but nevertheless, we're going to keep on pushing. You can see up ahead, we've got Jari Fitz, who's trying to make a move on Norberto in the Ferrari. Let's just see what happens going on to turn 4. We're going to go up the inside Jeffrey Ritchie here to try and make up some positions, but he's got the outside line. He's going to have the inside for this next left-hander, and I think it's going to be pretty impossible to go around the outside. We do try it, but yeah, that's not going to work particularly well. Now, on this track, the medium tyres are very, very favourable. Even in qualifying, they're only a couple of attempts off the softs, as we think we've got Antoine on the inside who's spun out. So that's a position for us. He was in the top 10, maybe? Or he might have been on the mediums, not entirely sure, but nevertheless, we do continue on as onto lap 8 now. There's some more cars off. I think it's Dylan Warren and I can't remember who else it was, but we've got Jeffrey Ritchie trying to make a move on Norberto here. Can we pick anything off as the medium runners start to battle? We're going to just sit behind and see what happens here. I don't think there's going to be anything that we can really do, but yeah, at this stage the mediums will definitely be the faster tyre to be on. So at the moment, all we can do is really hang on and hope for something decent to happen for us. But yeah, a few laps later on, Jeffrey Ritchie making a move on the Ferrari of Norberto. They're going to go side by side. That gives us the run, and once again, we're going to use the battery and the momentum we have. This time, we're well clear of Jeffrey Ritchie before the left-hander, and that is a position made for us. So at this point in the race, I knew the rain was coming towards the end, so I was fancying myself a little bit of an undercut, I'm not going to lie. And considering the amount of time I've lost down in P9, I thought, you know what, it's worth the punt. Let's try and get ahead of a few of the soft runners and make our race a little bit better. So into the pit lane we go. Extended the pit line slightly, but thankfully nobody picked up on that one. So we do get away with that. But yeah, into the pits on lap 12 to put on a set of the medium tyres. Now, where we're going to come out relative to a few people that have already pit, I think Ruben Pedreño is going to be the closest to us, although I think he probably pit from damage, so I'm not entirely sure that it's referable to where we're going to be. But one of the points to probably note is where our teammate was. Now, we were a couple of places behind our teammate, and as you can see coming to the end of the very next lap, Neon in the pits in the other Red Bull, we have jumped him fairly comfortably. So yeah, the outlap was very good, and the leaders still haven't pit yet. So coming to the end of the next lap, after that, you can see we do a purple last sector. And where are the people in the pit lane? You can see on the inside, Lewis Welch, he was, I think, P2 or 3. And you can see we're pretty comfortably clear of him, second ahead. So this undercut has worked absolute wonders. Now, we'll see very much on the next lap. I think Tom Martinez is the final car that needs to pit. Now, he, I'm pretty confident, was the net leader of this race. So we'll see at the end of this lap where we are relative to him. But yeah, on to lap 16 then. And you can see Tom Martinez in the pit lane. He's lost out to even more people than just me. So yeah, the undercut proving to be absolutely massive around this circuit. And yeah, so we're 7 tenths ahead of net P2 at this point. So we are in the net lead, providing nothing happens to give an advantage to the alternate strategy runners. So I was definitely not ready to be in this position. I did not expect it at all, but we will see what the pace is like. Now, going on to the end of that lap, and there is a crash. You can see Christian on the inside in the Aston Martin has hit the wall, and that has caused a safety car. Now, that's probably not ideal for us, and the major concern I had was, are these front-running cars, such as the Mercedes and the Haas on the minimap, you can see, are they within our pit window? Are they going to come out ahead? And the answer is, as we go across the line, no, they are not. So we are going to be into the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix on lap 18 after the disastrous start we've had, making our way up a few positions. So this is the order as it stands then. It is myself, Lewis Welch in P2, Jeffrey Ritchie, who has gone onto the soft tyres. Now, he should be able to make them to the end. And in P3, he is going to be looking very, very threatening. So we'll have to see what happens there. But as I was saying before, the softs are not as amazing of a tyre as you may imagine. So we'll have to see what happens there. But on the restart, we're going to go nice and early. Try and pull a little bit of a gap if that is at all possible. But with the slipstream on this track, I think that's going to be very, very difficult to do. Now, of course, all the guys behind are going to have fresher tyres as well, as at least 2 or 3 laps fresher. So they're going to have that advantage also. But as I say, with the slipstream on this track, I don't think that it's going to be possible for anyone to really pull any sort of gap. So I think the undercut from us is definitely the best option to do. And I was quite amazed no one else actually did it. But anyway, we are leading this race now on lap 20. As we come around the final sector, surely nothing majorly bad can happen to prevent us from doing this. But never mind. We're going to go out wide at the final corner, pick up a 3-second time penalty, and that was pretty annoying, I can't lie. But I guess with the limited practice in the race, that was always a threat of happening. So that might make Lewis Welch behind maybe not want to battle or overtake us so much, as obviously we have the penalty. But yeah, I think on this back straight here, you can see all he needs to do is use a little bit of battery and the DRS, and he should go comfortably up the inside. So he is going to do that now. Jeffrey Ritchie, I've got to be careful of here, who's going to try and follow through. Don't forget, he has the grip of the soft tyres, and we're now side by side down the straight. Lewis Welch, thankfully, is going to give us the DRS, as obviously he wants to keep a medium runner in between himself and Jeffrey Ritchie behind. So that's very nice of Lewis, as I always say his name wrong. But yeah, Lewis giving us the slipstream and allowing us to stay in P2. So at least now we can try and just stick with him, save a little bit of our battery up ourselves, and get towed along slightly. Now, as you can see with the train, it's going to be very difficult to finish very well with a penalty at all. So we'll have to see what can happen later on in this race. I think we've got Samu Bean behind us, who's going to go up the inside of Jeffrey Ritchie. Now, he's on the medium tyres, so he's done a very good job actually to overtake one of the soft runners. I didn't really know who to give the slipstream to behind, but I think Samuel Bean is going to make the position up on the inside. Indeed, he is going to. So he's up into P3. So we don't have the threat of the advantage of soft tyres behind us no longer. But yeah, behind Lewis Welch, and as I was saying, the 3-second penalty with the train you can see on the minimap, that's going to drop us a long way down. So we're going to have to hope that the rain comes and hopefully gives us some kind of advantage. So giving on to, I don't know if it was the next lap or a few laps later, but lap 24, you can see Samu Bean and Jeffrey Ritchie behind, battling once again. Jeffrey Ritchie really needing to get on with it on those soft tyres before they do start to degrade. So we're sitting pretty comfortably behind Lewis now. Saved a little bit of the battery up, so we are not looking too bad at this stage, but we are going to have to make something happen to do very well at all with the penalty, as I was saying. So again, getting pretty close to Lewis now. I think it doesn't really matter who leads at this stage. We just need to keep pulling each other along. So I think, as you can see, Samu Bean is quite close to us. I think we're going to go for the move here in order to not get overtaken by Samu Bean behind us. So we're going to go inside of Lewis Welch into turn 3. Now, I wanted to repay the favour here and give him the slipstream to keep him ahead of Samuel Bean, but as you can see, because they've got the DRS, I didn't really know what to do here. There's a little bit of ghosting or desync as Lewis gets pretty much into the back of us. Annoyingly, I didn't really do that very well, and that's allowed Samuel Bean up into P2. So Lewis, yeah, really lost out, and that just shows you that you can be leading, but you can definitely lose out very easily if you're in the incorrect position. As you can see on the minimap, as a yellow flag, that is a McLaren off. I'm not entirely sure who it was, but lap 25 then, 11 laps left of this race, and we are still leading the race, so that is pretty impressive. But coming to the end of lap 26, I think Samu Bean made a slight mistake, and you can see the gap up to 8 or 9 tenths. Now, I know it would be pretty difficult to break the DRS, but if I could manage it, that would give a massive advantage and potentially allow me to do something about pulling away with the 3-second penalty. So we're going to use a lot of our ERS just on this lap, because at the end of the day, even if they catch back up again, it doesn't really matter too much. So we're going to have a go at least. You can see the gap going up. It's 9.5 tenths now. If only we got it over that coming into the DRS detection zone here, that would give us quite the advantage. But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. So the gap probably going to come down a little bit on this straight. You can see we have run our battery pretty much into the ground at this point, but we managed to, by doing that, keep the gap at around 9/10. Now, on the exit of this corner, you can see it's very, very close to a second. Are we going to get over a second? Yes, we are. And through these next few corners, is it going to stay over a second as we get another warning for exceeding track limits? But the gap is so close to being 1 second, but unfortunately, it just isn't enough as we come through the DRS detection zone now, and he is going to get into the DRS zone. So we tried at least. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work, but and you'll see coming around this first sector, just as it is, without having a lot of DRS to play with, the gap is going to come down pretty significantly. So yeah, at least we tried something. I didn't think there was any harm in trying and doing it at least. So yeah, he's going to close up very, very quickly now. Lap 28, I'm not entirely sure whether you can see any rain coming down yet. At least I can't on this preview that I'm recording this on. But on to lap 30, Sammy Bean is going to go through here, and we're just going to let him go through, happily sit behind him, just like we did with Lewis Welch. So we're going to let him go through up into turn 3. We should get the DRS into turn 4, which will allow us to stay ahead, but there's a bit of a kerfuffle behind, and I'm not entirely sure what happened, but that allowed Tom Martinez to gain 3 or 4 positions. Now, obviously, he was the net leader earlier on in the race, so he's going to be quite quick. He does have the freshest tyres of all of us also. So I'm going to skip on now to lap 32, and definitely you can see the rain is starting to fall now. So I can see a little bit of a screen freeze there that I had, and that just put me off in the braking zone. We're going to go very, very wide, and you can see Lewis Welch right behind us now. We're going to have to defend this. Otherwise, we have no chance of getting the win in this race if we drop down into 3rd position. So he's going to try and go round the outside. He brakes later than us. We're going to have the inside. Can we get the traction down out of this corner? Yes, we can. Can we stay ahead into the next left? Yes, we can. So just about staying within a second, but we need to keep within the second of Samuel Bean in order to stay in the DRS and in the fight for the win. So annoyingly, I think this is something to do with my graphics settings as well, that I couldn't really tell how wet it was compared to playing on PlayStation. As I can tell you now, on PlayStation this would look a lot wetter than it is, as we nearly lose the car on the inside. That was extremely close to us being completely out of the race. But yeah, just getting used to the rain on PC, that's something that's very different with you run quite low graphics settings to keep the performance up, and you can see that it doesn't look as wet as it may do, and you'll probably see that more towards the end of the race. But yeah, because of that mistake, Lewis Welch is going to go through on the inside. You can see we're really, really struggling now on the traction and the power, and we just need to try and stay with and lose as little positions as possible. Don't forget, we do have the oldest tyres of the lot. And onto lap 34, you can just see we cannot slow down. We're going to go off the track here. We just cannot get around the corner. That's going to allow Tom Martinez the run on us. Where's he going to go? We're going to cover the inside once again. He's going to go around the outside. We just need to make sure we don't outbrake ourselves, as it's very, very easy to do in the very, very damp conditions. He's going to try the switchback. Is he going to get the move? No, he isn't. So we do live to fight another day. We have lost the DRS to Lewis Welch now, as we are struggling significantly. But I think as we go around this final sector, the DRS is going to get disabled. As much as the rain doesn't look extremely... doesn't look like there's a lot of rain from where I'm sat right now, but I can confirm it's a lot wetter than it looks on my screen. So behind us, Tom Martinez, to my surprise, goes into the pit lane with 2 laps remaining. He's going to put on the intermediates. So does our teammate Neon, I believe. Now, I didn't think that was worth doing, but as you can see coming around the first sector, the grip we have is insane. We hardly have any grip whatsoever, and we just need to make sure that we can continue on as best as we can, just to try and survive these last few laps. You can just see it's all about tiptoeing round as we're in 4th gear, 5th gear, losing the rear end. We're even getting caught by Villacampa behind, I believe his name is at least. But they don't. The cars behind, thankfully for us, don't matter massively. As you can see, P4 and P5 both with 3-second penalties. Now, the person to watch is the blue dot coming just past the number 2 and the speed trap now into turn 4 on the minimap. That is Tom Martinez in the LP. Now he is the lead car on the intermediate tyres, and you can see the amount of speed he is carrying through the corners. He's catching up at a right rate of knots, and I can tell you now, at the current pace he's going to be right with us and the leaders at the very end of the next lap, which of course is the last lap. Just trying to keep it on the track now. What's the lap time going to be in comparison? We're doing 18.5, 13 seconds off the pace. And I can tell you now, look at Tom Martinez on the minimap. He's already caught up to the Aston Martin. We're going to go wide through turn 1, just trying to keep it in a straight line at this point. I think the Ferrari behind us having the same issue as Samuel Bean and Lewis Welch. To be fair to them, doing very, very well up front, managing to keep it on the track. We have a massive lock up again, and we're just going to try and crawl around turn 3, just trying to keep the car on the track. And you can see, look at the mini-map, look at Tom Martinez. He's already miles ahead of the Aston Martin. Look at the traction on the mini-map from Tom Martinez here. He's going to get past, I believe that's Paris Borough, and he's going to go past on the straight very, very easily, as we have a massive drift. We're still drifting round through the middle sector. He's up now into P7, Tom Martinez, so he's going to catch us towards the end. It's going to be like a last corner move if he can get very close. But you can see up ahead, Lewis Welch very, very close to Samuel Bean here. Can anything happen for the leaders? Can they crash out and maybe give us the win? Maybe. But you can see, look at the position indicator. Tom Martinez, P5 now, 2.6 seconds behind. There's a contact up ahead as Lewis Welch is going to go up the inside of Samuel Bean. He's going to win the race on track. And if we look behind us, going across the line, here comes Tom Martinez. He's up into P4. He finishes 3/10 behind us and obviously beats us on that penalty. But yeah, even one more corner, I think Tom Martinez would have won that race. So that just shows how wet it really was and how much of an advantage those intermediate tyres were in the end. But yeah, as I was saying, we come home in P4 then. Now, I can confirm that because of the contact from Lewis Welch and Samuel Bean at the last corner, Lewis Welch got a 3-second penalty, which bumped him down to P2, gave Samuel Bean the win, and more crucially, Tom Martinez gets reported for the pit lane entry for going over the line. He gets a 5-second penalty and drops down to P5, I believe, which gives us a podium on our first ever PC race. So I will definitely take that. Yeah, probably not ideal towards the end. I sort of blamed the graphics settings for not knowing how wet it was, but yeah, it was very difficult conditions nevertheless. But we do get P3, so that's very good for us, and I'll definitely take that towards for our first race on PC. So I hope you very much enjoyed watching that, the undercut of dreams, I would say, in that race. But yeah, it was exciting. I'm not entirely sure what other races I'm going to be doing on PC or when they may be, but I'll bring highlights of when they do happen. So yeah, thanks very much for watching these highlights, and I will see you in the next one very soon.